What's cracking, Jack? It's Friday, August 16th, and you are in the jungle. Today's best plays are on the way. Welcome back, Silverback Nation. And if you're new to the channel, welcome to the jungle. Please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and comment. It goes a long way in helping us grow the jungle together. I've got 3 plays in the on-deck circle for you, but if you want my full betting card, if you want to roll with all my premium plays and added plays throughout the day, go to silverbackjungle.com, click Become a Jungle Member, or text the number at the bottom of the screen, and my full betting card will get pinged to your phone each and every day. We have a free weekly trial. Take it for a test spin and see if it's for you. At the conclusion of our last bet today, we'll recap everything that happened in the jungle over on X at Silverback Betting, so give me a follow over there. It looks like this. Yesterday, we were 1-7. The one play that we did hit was a plus 200 members play for Logan Webb to record a win. So although we were 1-7, we were down 5 units, not 6. That's part of the game. It happens. I've been doing this for a long time. I do it for a living. Stay with the jungle principles, and you'll always be up at the end of the month. Those principles are bet 3% of your bankroll on every single play, no more and no less. Even if you have a feeling that you like a bet more than the other, it never works out that way. Never double down on your bets, never chase your losses, and never, ever parlay. Here we go. Play 1. Nick Martinez of the Cincinnati Reds to go under 17.5 recorded outs today against the Kansas City Royals. I got it for -110. Over on DraftKings, Martinez under this in 8 of his last 10 starts with a median outs of 15 in those last 10. Kansas City mashes right-handed pitching, batting .295 against righties in their last 30 days. Second in Major League Baseball in those last 30 days. They're fourth in on-base percentage, fourth in on-base percentage, third in on-base plus slugging, and 6th in WRC plus. They should have Martinez out of there by 6 full innings today. Pardon me. Play number 2 is the Diamondbacks on the money line. Give me the Snakes, man. -104 I got it for over on DraftKings against the Tampa Bay Rays. The Diamondbacks are 20-5 since the All-Star break. In today's matchup sees Ryan Nelson of the Snakes against Ryan Pepio of the Devil Rays, 2 very good pitchers. Now, Pepio should be on a pitch count. It's his first game back in over a month. Nelson has been really good for the Diamondbacks, 2-0, 3.19 ERA, and 36 strikeouts in his last 5 games. Where the mismatch comes here is the offensive. Arizona has been next level on offense. Since the All-Star break, they're first in runs by far, first in team average by far, first in slugging by far. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, can't buy a run. Their last 10 games, they've only scored 24 runs, worst in Major League Baseball. Give me the Snakes on the money line for a great price today. Dog of the day. Kansas City Royals on the money line. I got it for +120. I think it's down to +110 now on most books against the Cincinnati Reds. Mike Lorenzen against Nick Martinez. And if you're hip to the scene, you know how I feel about Nick Martinez. I think the Royals will hit him up today. Michael Lorenzen's been okay, and he did play in Cincinnati, which is a hitter-friendly ballpark, for 5 years, and he had some pretty good success there. Kansas City's been hitting the ball very well, like we talked about. They have the 5th most runs scored since the All-Star break, 135, and the 5th highest batting average at 279. Cincinnati has a 5th worst batting average in Major League Baseball since the break at 229 and only 111 runs. For plus money today, I'd like the Royals on the money line. Buy the ticket, take the ride. KC on the money line. I'm going to end today with a story. In 3rd grade, I was in Mrs. Drazio's class, and she had this idea at the end of class one day where she wanted to fill the time remaining, where she'd ask us to raise our hand, and if we want to share a story that we learned, a lesson we learned from our parents, that we can do that, share it with the class. And I had my hand up, but she didn't really call me that often. I was known to be kind of a provocateur. So she called on Nancy Diamond, and Nancy Diamond said her mother works at the hatchery in the town that I grew up in, which employed a lot of people. And her mother's job was to count all the chickens and let the hatchery owners know how many chickens they have available each and every day. And one day she was kind of saving time, and she counted the eggs instead of the chickens. Well, once you know that 2 of the chickens didn't hatch and the number was off, and she said, Nancy said, so the lesson I learned from my mother is never count your chickens before they're hatched. And Mrs. Drazio really liked that. And now Keith Wozniak raised his hand. She still didn't call me. And Keith raised his hand, and Keith Wozniak said that his dad also works at the hatchery, and his job is to take all the eggs that Nancy's mom counts, put them in a basket, bring them up to the front of the hatchery to sell. And, Keith always tried to take shortcuts. Keith's dad always took shortcuts. And he put all of his eggs in one basket instead of taking 2 trips one day. And then he tripped too many eggs in the basket. They all broke. The moral of the story, Keith said to Mrs. Drazio, was never put all your eggs in one basket. No one else had their hand up. except for me. So finally she called on me. She said, Silverback, what have you learned from your parents? And I said, Mrs. Drazio, as you know, I don't have the luxury of having a mother nor a father like Nancy and Keith. I was raised by my Uncle Terry. And Uncle Terry doesn't care much for the hatchery. And in fact, he doesn't really like people that work there. He finds them soft, for my Uncle Terry was in a little something called Vietnam. And one day he was behind enemy lines, and his platoon had left him behind with nothing but a machine gun and a bottle of Jack Daniels. And Uncle Terry threw down the bottle of Jack, swigged it down, drank the whole thing, wandered into the nearest village where he was met by gunfire by up to 20 men. Well, my Uncle Terry, Mrs. Drazio, he mowed down every man, woman, and child in that village till no one was standing before him. Uncle Terry felt something wet in his pants. He looked down to find that his pants were wet in front of his zipper. But this was not urine, Mrs. Drazio. My Uncle Terry was no coward, and he didn't piss himself, for that was ejaculate. So excited my Uncle Terry had become by killing that he had climaxed from such a feat. Mrs. Drazio stopped me. She couldn't believe what she was hearing in third grade, and she said, Silverback, what on earth? What lesson could you have possibly learned from that you can share here? I said, well, Mrs. Drazio, my Uncle Terry's been drinking. Don't fuck with him. I'll see you tomorrow.